We're back here to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Love Is podcast. I'm excited to welcome the host of the Love Is podcast, Kim Sorrelle. Kim, how are you? And I know you're excited about our two guests.
Of course, I'm excited about our two guests. I'm doing great. Thanks, Neil. I'm actually at the National Christian Media Convention here in Nashville. So if people walk behind me, sorry, Donald Trump is going to be speaking behind me at some point. But anyway, two of my favorite casts from The Chosen, George Harrison, Xanthis, and Luke Dimyan. I love you guys, and
Dimyan.
you're both so talented and have done so many things beyond beyond what you're doing now. And you're both really funny from what I understand, and musical from what I understand. So the set has got to be pretty fun. First, George, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And you played John the Beloved, who does a lot of writing. And so I'm curious, George, how did you even end up on The Chosen?
It's funny, like a lot of people get some, especially maybe even Luke, like you can ask them how they auditioned, and it might be kind of simple. I auditioned for the role, but I actually went in for Simon Peter because there weren't enough lines for John in the opening 4 episodes. My first line for those Chosen nerds out there was "Go get caught in a net." So I imagine that's a very difficult like kind of scene to just try and like, is that John? Like to just get like 400 people coming in to say one line. So no, they get you to read a scene for Simon Peter, and then they kind of get a vibe. It didn't end there for me. I actually went in the next day. Dallas was like, here's 7 pages, and it was for Quintus, the Roman praetor. And then the day after, I landed John. So I played Simon Peter very stoic and very like, very serious. And then I played Quintus as very, cheeky and kind of brash. And maybe John exists somewhere between those two.
I'm imagining you bald now, and it is the most beautiful thing I think that's ever come to my brain.
By the way, thank goodness I didn't get the role of Quintus because, oh my God, Brandon is perfect.
Oh my God, Brandon is a powerhouse.
He's
So
perfect.
good.
Now, George, did you learn a lot about John preparing for this role?
100%. 100%. Now, I mean, I have to admit, I thought I was playing John the Baptist. I didn't, I didn't even, I kind of forgot that there was a John the disciple, and then someone's like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And I was kind of scared because I was like, oh, John the Baptist, I know he might die early in the series. I was just kind of like thinking as an actor a little bit. And then when they said John, I like researched, it was like the last apostle. I was like, oh, good. There's spin-off potential for John. No, but I actually, as research, I've read John's gospel. I'd never read it before. And you were just saying before, like John as a great writer, he honestly is. I would highly recommend people even explore the ancient Greek writings if you can. It's very difficult to translate from ancient Greek into English, but it's a fascinating book when you have the ancient Greek context. And me being Greek, I was so proud about that. I didn't know that he wrote his book in ancient Greek. He wrote a lot of his stuff on Patmos, which is in Greece, very close to my family's island in Greece. So this is all the stuff I learned about John. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, that is so cool. Yeah, John is a pretty cool guy. There is some stuff that, you and I can talk about offset sometime that John wrote and your take on it.
Yeah.
And Luke, you have the roles of the biggest villain probably ever in the history of the world, Judas. And I would like to ask you the same question. How did you get Judas? But even deeper than that, what did you think when that's the role that you got?
Oh, again, I'm sorry. My answer is actually a little less fun than George's. I got submitted by my management team. I auditioned a few times, first for characters that I thought I was going for, and then they just kept sending me different character sides. And eventually, they were like, "Oh, can we have your number? We want to send him something special." And we were like, "They can have my email. I don't know about number." And then they sent me the sides for Apprentice, and they were like, "Oh, for context, this is Judas." I was like, "Great, cool." And then I auditioned for it, and Dallas took one look at me. I was like, yeah, gross. He's perfect. Cast him. And that's how I got it. And I'm honestly pretty happy. I love complicated characters, and it's fun to play this one. So yeah.
Do you like the fact of playing a bad guy? Have you played bad guys before?
I've definitely played some bad guys before. I've played some tragic heroes before, especially when I was studying acting. There have been many times I've gotten to play parts of Hamlet and Macbeth, which I know I'll never actually get a chance to play Macbeth, but that's a very same type of a guy who started out as a hero and then slowly devolved into um just a broken king who is paranoid to all end. It's cool to just play these kinds of characters that you could even just easily paint off as a villain, but actually are a bit more complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Judas is a good guy for a long time. He's not necessarily a bad guy the whole time, right? I mean, he's walking with Jesus and learning and figuring stuff out and taking a little money here and there, but still, pretty devout until things go bad at the end. But we haven't gotten there yet in The Chosen, and so it is a complicated character. But I have seen some of your Facebook, and you probably will be in Macbeth someday. You'll probably be in all of them someday because you're really good. And so, anyway, I hear that there's maybe like a mixtape that you guys made, like a dance
Oh,
beat
No,
by.
it was a full music video in
Yeah.
full respect. We
which
went
hasn't
out.
been taken down yet, which is really good. I thought it would be copyrighted or
Dude, I
something,
told you,
but
man, it's a full cover. We put our entire talent, every last drop of it. They can't take offense to that, right?
can I just say also, we actually did that as part of a dare. We were trying to raise $50,000 for a chosen fan that we were visiting this young fan every week that we were filming in Utah. And he said as a joke, like, it's like cool to have $50,000. He was such a joker, and he was like, "I'm not being serious," but we took him seriously, and unfortunately, he lost his battle with cancer. So we thought, okay, let's take that little joke and let's make it a reality. Let's help out, his family, and let's, kind of yeah, do that in memory of him. And you know what? Chosen fans from all over the world. We're talking Brazil, United Kingdom, Puerto Rico, Spain, Australia, New Zealand came in, and we raised $50,000. And that's why you're seeing us dance around. And I know for a fact, Jared, who's the young boy that we were dedicating this to, he would have been laughing his socks off, honestly.
Now,
It's a real testament to the love and the connection that this fandom has for each other, and
Yeah.
their love and compassion just throughout, because they all came in droves. There was a part where I didn't think we were going to get to our goal, but we did through like
Mm.
all odds. We got it, and we were able to get that money to his family, who honestly absolutely deserved every penny of it. And we were very happy to dance and sing our hearts out in
Make
memory of our
fools of
good friend
ourselves.
Jared Baker.
now, George, thinking about specifically your character John and its development, and we all know mostly about the Gospels with John and a little bit of mention of John. That's what has been amazing about the Chosen is characters really get more development on the Chosen, right? To really know more about that character. Are you kind of creating in a lot of ways too, based on some of the ideas that the script says for John and putting it into your own?
100%, yeah. It's like, again, like peeking behind the curtain and giving the nuts and bolts of an actor's process. I I think there are moments where I think it's been great that Dallas has kind of stepped in and said, let's keep on this path. So one of the paths that he's wanted me to keep on is, let's keep him a little bit cheeky and brash and kind of, you know, a bit of a know-it-all. And you often get that, like, there's two ways I'll always deliver a line. I'll deliver it like how we know John now, which is a little bit kind of cheeky, and then I'll deliver it in a more somber way. And Dallas has those two to kind of choose from. And at this stage of John's journey, it's such an interesting character. We kind of do have this kind of cheeky, brash, I want to be the best kind of thing. And that's a complete juxtaposition to, I read this the other day, that because I'm like, oh, why is John considered the disciple of love? Not just the beloved, but the disciple of love. I think he mentions the word, again, writing in ancient Greek. So he's actually using agape, and he would be using philo. So those are the two Greek words for love. But he mentions it more than anybody, any other New Testament book, if I'm not mistaken. If I've got that wrong, please correct me. But yeah, how do we see this brash, young, impetuous, zealous son of thunder turn into this disciple of love? And that's been the fun of the show. And when we did we did a bit of a flash forward to seeing John. I think if you guys remember in season 2, we see John as an older man, not that much older. But that was another moment where me and Dallas talked about it, and he was like, let's raise the volume a little bit, maybe. And he actually chose all of my subdued performances because it's almost like the Obi, bring the Star Wars connections in. That's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like when he's in when he's the old man, he's like quiet Luke. But when he's like younger, he's like all agile. He can backflip. So it'd be a really good little good analogy and metaphor for John, for those Star Wars
Yeah,
geeks out there.
Oh, easily best analogy I've heard yet.
Yeah,
I
Lead
love
with that one.
yeah, I
it. That's
should.
right. From
I
now
just came
on,
up
lead
with
with
it
that
now.
one. Yeah. So, what character is Judas in Star Wars then?
Oh, I think funny enough, that's
Say it. You said
I
it
think
before.
perfectly in opposition to his Obi-Wan. I think Judas is Anakin. I
This
think
is so good.
he's a little uh tempestuous. He's a little whiny. He's got expectations. He's got a lot of potential, but the things he wants to focus on, he just doesn't trust the council, and he doesn't like sand, and he's just constantly surrounded by sand, so he's just constantly agitated. But to to John's Obi-Wan, he tries to take his teachings in strides, but his uh his natural instincts just get the better of him, of wanting more. He knows he wants more, but he shouldn't. Could be a better Jedi. But the council.
And you're definitely developing this character as well, Judas. It looks like Dallas lets you go move forward to the mannerisms and the way that that character comes to life. It sounds like with him as
It's surprising. Honestly, I've got to give props to Dallas because I do have a lot of ideas, and I always come to him with all that stuff, and he's got a lot of his plate, but he always gives me the time to talk about it and to think. Like he's literally, there are so many other actors. We've got 12 and then some to focus on, but he genuinely always. There was even times where I knew he didn't have the space to take in my ideas or notes, but he literally came to me. He was like, "No, don't stop bringing these to me. Just either I'll agree with them or I won't, but don't stop allowing yourself to like imagine this character and for us to work with this together." But
Wow.
so
That's
yeah,
that is so
that's just a
cool.
testament to him. He's an
Yeah,
amazing director,
and you
and
hear stuff like that about Dallas. Sorry to interrupt, but he is such a. It seems to me everybody that I've talked to from The Chosen talks about how incredible the set is, right? How incredible that everybody is together, like a different feeling on the set than anything they've done. I hear that a lot, and it starts at the head, right, and goes on down. So Dallas is kind of creating this or allowing this fun, loving on the outside camaraderie, whatever that's going on.
yeah,
True?
no,
Yeah.
he's awesome.
all
And
right.
Yeah.
I literally got I got like a message on my phone like yesterday from Dallas, and it was a joke and it was funny, and I threw a joke back at him. So yeah, when you can chat to your director like that, I don't even. It sounds weird saying that. I mean, I should give him the respect and say yes, my director, the showrunner, creator of the show. But the reality is, he's all of our friend.
That's great. And that makes it easy to work together, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because if you have a
100%.
good leader that is able to have everyone feel comfortable, everyone else develops the relationship like you two have.
Yeah. It's all thanks to
Yeah, no,
Dallas. We got to
absolutely.
thank him for that sometimes. Like, yeah, the only
Yeah.
reason we're friends. We hated each other when we first met. I was just like, who's this short guy? And I was like, an Aussie, sure. But Dallas really brought us together, and that's what
So
solidified our friendship.
That is so cool. One thing that I've wondered, like we see the finished product, right? But you must be take after take after take. So you're hearing words from the Bible. You are hearing Jesus preach take after take after take. Like,
Uh,
is there a difference than if you did just one take? Like, how do you feel about that?
I
It's
think there would
by the
be a
way,
pretty big
I
difference.
was just gonna say that you're the first person who's actually brought that up, because I actually am the one that brings that up usually to people. So you do hear these things over and over, and Jonathan is such an amazing performer, and he delivers it, on the money every single time. So yeah, that is a unique a unique benefit from the show, is that we don't just hear it for the first time like the audience does. We have the pleasure of hearing this 5 times from this angle, and then 10 times from this angle. Is a lot of takes, and so you start hearing different moments and different things. And I remember a very poignant one for me is in season 2, we have the healing of the paralytic. And there's like a question about kingdom of heaven, and Jesus's answer is like obviously a parable taken from scripture. But after listening to that like 20 times perfectly by Jonathan, I'm like, whoa, I didn't, it's definitely another, yeah, you get a very unique take on it,
totally.
unique understanding.
All right, guys. Season 4 is in theaters and soon will be available everywhere. We'll just have to wait to hear when that happens. But I appreciate you guys both coming by. Great information and great stuff. And you guys really get along. I guess that's why you're on the tour together. So appreciate it.
Guess so.
All
It
right. That
works.
was
It works.
special. Yeah. That was a special Simon Cast, the Neil Haley Show, and the Love Is podcast, guys. Take care.